mother's side Venezuela, my father's side from Italy, and they told me like, hey, our family like came here to provide opportunity for you. And when she was young, they lived in a studio apartment, family of with my grandparents, family of 6, and it caught on fire and they lost everything. And my mom was like, with the shirt on my back, I had to go and like cry to my school teacher to at 15 years old, allow me to drop out of school to go get a job. And the teacher was like, no way, I'm not allowing you to, drop out of high school. And then basically, after she was like, listen, if you don't let me do this, my family won't have money to eat. Like, I have to help my family. So he was like, all right, well, if you take night classes, then I'll stop paying. So she started taking night classes. She couldn't get a job in New Jersey where we grew up. So she had to go in the winter to New York City, never been to New York City before, and ended up working on Canal Street to make a little bit of money at 15 years old to help provide for my grandparents. So even to this day, it touches me talking about it. But like, that's strength, you know what I mean? So she was like, if I was able to do that and then put the roof over your head and like do everything that we've done, then you better believe you better go back out there and do it again. So I was like, all right, what's next? I started really analyzing content. I've always had a passion for content. So the first thing that I wanted to do was, all my friends couldn't get jobs and they all had college degrees. So it was like flipped on its head now. So I was like, and then all of our generation, I felt, was paying attention to Kim Kardashian and back then the Kardashian Show or the Jersey Shore, like reality TV. And
choices.
So I was like, I really don't think that our generation's paying attention to the true economy. So coming from the market, I started making documentaries on the economy, and I did a documentary. My last documentary was called College Conspiracy, exposing the student loan debt crisis. And during that time, I ended up getting picked up, Fox News, Bloomberg, millions of views. I grew my passion for video content, and then I had an intern working for me named David, who was like 19 years old, and he came to me one day and was like, I think we should create a digital platform for millennials, but for business, and he wanted to call it Elite Wall Street. And I was like, trust me when I tell you, Wall Street is tainted. Like, we do not want to go down that route, but I do believe that there needs to be a publication for millennials. All these other publications were kind of handed down to us, and it could kind of become the voice of Gen Y, multiple verticals rather than just about college or sports or entertainment. We weren't real journalists. We just had a passion, and we wanted to create something that was in the marketplace that didn't exist. So that's what we did, and we started actually interviewing each other, then interviewing our friends. Then learning how we can scale through Facebook, and learning how we could get 2,000 contributors eventually around the country at college campuses to recruit, writers. And then basically we went from building in my apartment to getting into New York City, getting into an incubator in New York, and building culture, learning about team building, getting people to believe in our vision, and grew to about 200 employees. In 2015, we positioned it. We saw John Steinberg leave BuzzFeed to go to Daily Mail. So we said, we got to get this guy for his expertise on our advisory board. So I chased him down at a Morgan Stanley event that he was speaking at, got in front of him, started pitching the idea. And then once he went through our analytics and saw that we were the real deal, he joined our advisory board, and within 6 months, he made an offer for it. I never thought that we would sell the company. I was against it. We had board meetings like that, like crazy, where we were arguing, and I was actually the blocking vote, and I was running around New York City, meeting with all our advisors, meeting with all our investors, trying to talk them, saying, look at all the valuations at BuzzFeed. Look, we have some more time, and we were getting valuation based off revenue. But we started looking at Facebook algorithms, and we thought that traffic was really going to get hit, and we started looking at the trend that content is changing, and so we ended up voting for it, and then that changed my life. I was a little depressed afterwards. It's not a sob story, but I was just like, damn, what am I going to do? Like, I lost my baby. I always thought that was going to become like, the biggest millennial media company. And I went to a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within. Who's been through a Tony Robbins event? Just curious. Not many. Well, I highly recommend it. And I was so inspired by him and what he was able to do on stage. through an impact, like he was impacting lives. I brought my little sisters, my sister Monica, everybody.
It's totally epic. Like, put it on your bucket list.
And I saw Monica, like, cry, and whatever was, inside, like, let it out, and like have this like transformation breakthrough. And I was like, wow, like, I want to inspire like that. I want to impact lives like that. And his quote, "Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure," has become like my favorite quote. So I started saying to myself, how can I make more impact? How can I be a better leader for this generation? And I consider really close to moving to Miami, and saving money on taxes from the exit and having ocean views. We were this close to signing. But my family's roots are from Newark. I got my name from Newark. My father went to Barringer High School. My grandparents grew up in Newark and immigrated here. And it's struggle. It was struggling. Now it's like there's a lot happening. And I said, I was speaking in Silicon Valley. I was seeing all these startup ecosystems that were starting to really create jobs and create economic, move the needle for our economy and like create real GDP growth. And I said, why aren't we providing that kind of education and resources to entrepreneurs in inner cities? So I decided to launch Founders in Newark. It's a social impact accelerator, where we're bringing now mentors every day, and we run a 12-week program called Seed to Scale. So that's try to pack it all in as much as possible. But
yeah, I know it's a weighted question, so thank you for sharing. It sounds like the power of motivation was ingrained in you, whether it was the quotes from your dad or leading by example, like what your mom did. And then it sounds like you've been curating content along the way, whether it's your creativity in school, all the way to your intern coming to you at Elite Wall Street or Daily. So I want to get right into it tangible as we do at SheWorx. So how do you differentiate yourself as a content creator?
So I personally, I think it's through purpose. I think, and I know it's like there's that word is thrown around so much, but I think it's truly that's why with Founders, right? Like for me, content is the biggest way to differentiate in creating a story and shedding light on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to make impact. So particularly right now for Founders, I'm going up against Y Combinator, 500, right? Like these massive accelerators that are out there. And for me, like, I think what's special is like that we're leading with purpose, whereas a lot of these other accelerators, they lead with money. They're backed by VCs. They're creating true jobs, but are they really impacting lives? So I think when you deeply figure out what you're like, forget about money, like what drives you every single day to get up in the morning and like pushes you every single day. And you start there and then generate your content around that purpose, I think that is the biggest differentiator for you. And people will resonate with you the most. And that's how you build true community, in my opinion.
That's such a good point, especially building that solid foundation. For those of us that have co-founders, mine's in the room, but we built such a solid foundation that even if we disagree, we both have that same welcomed pressure. So the fact that Gerard had all the choices in the world, but went back to Newark, I mean, you found your true north, which was really cool, and you could give back at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at the most effective strategies when it comes to social media and just building a platform, building your own brand. Let's talk about social currency.
Oh, cool. So I like to kind of like look ahead. I'm more of a visionary and really like to look at like where the trends are going. And I genuinely believe that like us as individuals here, we have the power. Like I no longer think if I were to reach, I wouldn't build Elite Daily again today from scratch. I believe that like we are the media platforms now, and I've been like studying like the whole influencer marketing, industry. I started, analyzing that and seeing how brands were starting to resonate with me because of the content I was putting out and how I was, putting out my content around my purpose and my passion. And in my opinion, I think that that's like the number one strategy that I see. I mean, I look at people like even like Gary, and how he's doubling down on his brand to power what he's doing around Vayner as well, And for me, I think that if you can lead, and become an authority yourself in what you're doing in your field, I think that's like one of the first like things right now that will drive community, will drive engagement to your business. So I'm doing that, for founders, and I'm also incentivizing, our mentors around founders to do that as well. So to start, looking at yourself as a media property, not just, founders as well. Now there's strategies for founders particularly as well, and I think Facebook Live, for instance, I highly think that's a quick way to, build your community fast right now. I think we're live right now, right? Sweet.
Shout out to the plug.
Shout out to the plug. So just doing like live streaming every single day, I'm like really big with that right now. For me, video is where everything is going as well. I mean, now, videoing every single day. So I feel like, really started to come out with unique video content around. For me, what I did was I created a series called Leaders Create Leaders. And I think if you can come up with like a series within your industry, it's a very tangible way for you to build your circle of influence. You could do an interview series. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy, but I think, that is a way that when I decided like, hey, I'm going to start looking at myself. I never looked at myself as a media property. I built Elite Daily. And after the acquisition, I said, wow, I really want to make more impact. I really want to step up as a leader. That's when I started looking at myself, and in just a little over a year, the rewards that I've gotten by looking at myself as a media property now, me shedding my voice and me starting to write on multiple platforms and me taking the time to launch series and, interview people, is like opened up, speaking engagements, opened up me a huge network of influencers that are in my field. And it's also allowed me to, most importantly, build community like this, where now I can go into a city and be like, hey, I just happen to be here for a meeting. I went to 1871 in Chicago, and it's like, hey, or I'll be anywhere, and I was like, hey, who's here? And 10 people show up, there were 12 people show up, whoever it is, but then all of a sudden it's like you got powerful minds in a room together. So I think it really builds a community. So, that's something that I'm really now pushing towards, is leveraging that.
Quick shout out, Trevor's dad is on the board of 1871.
Really? Oh my God, super inspired by 1871. Howard Tolman, the CEO, will be in my season 2 of Leaders Create Leaders. Yes. By the way, on that note, I really need to put some awesome females in my series. So when we wrap up, I would love to know who would be up for sharing their story, and I would love to build content together.
Cool. Well, before we get to the final question and then open it up, I think it's really important to emphasize what Gerard said about your personal brand and thinking about yourself as a media unit. I went through the struggle of just being so immersed in my business that when someone said, tell me about yourself, I was elevator pitching my business. So, look, tell me about you. What's a Supreme mobile app that we're working on? They're like, does this girl do anything else? And I was so proud of it, but it was really creepy to an extent. So the fact that Gerard was able to build a brand while being true, I think you naturally differentiated. Because we're in a room full of entrepreneurs. It's just like, okay, we're all entrepreneurs. We talk about startups. What do we do? But you can get into your own field and get your own identity as well. And it really adds value to both of the brands in parallel.
It really does.
So you already touched upon this, but if there's any specifics on just how you build and evolve your own brand and just making sure that products resonate in the market. You mentioned that you're working with other brands now and they reach out to you to leverage any content and align with your mission as you continue to build.
Yeah, Toyota just did a deal with me. I'm shooting an actual commercial with them in January, and they're giving away $15,000 to an entrepreneur with an idea. So if you have an idea, I would tell you, go check it out. It's in the link in my Instagram bio. And yeah, I think brands right now, they're looking for the whole traditional advertising space is changing. $100 billion is going towards influencer marketing over the next 4 years. It's pretty intense. And like individual influencers, I think, have more power now than sometimes the platforms, or like even certain celebrities, more if you're like a thought leader in your space. So and then as far as like their products, I mean, I always say, like, if you're building a specific product, it is always going to continue to evolve. So I just think you always need to just be completely in tune with where technology is going and continue to test new things. And Elite Daily specifically, as that part, like that evolved. We had so many different iterations. So it's just about testing and experimenting with everything that you do. Just experiment. Like, as you're building your community, ask them, like, what do you want? What do you think would be better? And I think that's what people miss out on. And it doesn't matter if you have like 5 people or like 1,000,000 people. If you engage with them and start asking them questions and asking them for feedback and engaging with them, it will exponentially grow. Like, if you're doing that, like, daily. So I just think, make sure that you're engaging with your customers or with your audience, and just like ask them, what do they want? What do they think? What are their pain points? Ask them enticing questions. Like, if you were to change 3 things in the world right now, what would they be? You know, like, ask them things like that. Get to know people. I think people get so caught up in the analytics and the data, and it genuinely is more about people. And the more that you relate to people and get to know them and get to know what their purpose is, and then you can align with that and engage with that and provide real value in your content, that is going to ultimately be your differentiator, because everyone out there is doing the rah-rah. Like, everyone's doing that, like, as Gary says, you know, like, everyone's motivating and doing stuff. But like, if you can take the time to really deeply get to know your audience and start to engage with them, and take the time to do meetups, take the time to do things like this. I mean, if it's at a local Starbucks, you know, how can you create a little bit more of an experience for your customers with your product? And just thinking about that as, what is the experience that they get with whether your company or with you as a founder, and that goes with your team, and that goes with your business and your customers. What is that experience? You know, for founders, my product is seed to scale. Is this, like, you know, is this accelerator? But for me, like, the way that we're differentiating our product, right, is like building culture. So like, what we sell is culture. We sell is community. You know, so when people come there, you know that you're going to be a part of this like amazing community, empower you, inspire you, and educate you. So thinking about like how you can leverage your community is what is going to ultimately make your product, you know, unique.
Well, it's leading to sustainability. And then also, when your following feels like they're building with you, they're invested. So not like I come and I know it all. What's really unique to even Gerard's aspect is he's always asking. So you open questions, you can put a caption on Instagram to invite people to the discussion.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to open this discussion to Q&A round.
As a follow-up to that question, what is your latest favorite brand or product that you think that is good?
Latest favorite product or brand? I would say, yeah, Toyota. I don't know. I don't know. My sister, she launched a business called Operation Use, and she just got her first real big engagement in Bali, where she has a meditation company that aligns your heart with your head, and she's NLP certified. And she, like, the story she told me about when she did her speaking engagement and how she engaged her audience, and actually, like, there was this one female that was like, she was trying to teach self-love, and she was like, I don't think I've ever experienced self-love. My sister gave this huge exercise for everybody, and the one person was just like, I don't know, I just don't think I can get it. And she was like, well, I'm gonna work with you individually. She went and worked with her individually, and like, the girl had this breakthrough of like experiencing self-love. And I was like super proud of her that she did that. And I'm really excited about her product and her business right now, what she's doing. She wants to now take that and offer it to throw experiential events for businesses, for people who want to bring that into their office to have like those type of like meditation experiences. So if anybody's here that's interested, talk to them.
Questions? Yes.
So you said you were always very interested in trends and watching how things evolve. What do you think led to such like a strong influencer culture where, you know, there are micro influencers in different cities that target different audiences? And why do you think that came about?
I think it came about, I don't know. I think one end of it for me was, it was like the same thing that happened with us becoming entrepreneurial. which is like, you know, we were lied to so much. Or like, I don't know, I think older generations, when we look at like what happened, particularly for me, I'm sensitive about it, but like Wall Street and what happened with like, you know, the whole bubble, real estate bubble, and like so many people lost jobs, so much happened there. And like us millennials were like left with it all. We have 19 trillion in debt, like so much change. And like, I just think that we started like analyzing, it forced us, all my friends graduated with like great degrees. And if I could probably tell you that, I'd probably say at least like 90% of them are not in the field of what they graduated with in their degree. And a lot of them have also started to build their own businesses. And I just feel like we kind of were forced, because of what happened, to start to become more entrepreneurial at that time and resonate with brands differently. And then the obvious, which is just social media. You know, that's why I think Elite Daily wouldn't be as successful today. I mean, we leveraged Facebook, but now because of Instagram, because Snapchat just grew out of nowhere, people are now just seeing eye to eye with people more than brands. And that's just where culture's going. That's where the attention is. And I just think it's the most authentic too. I know there's like, you know, people are opening up their lives now. They're not afraid to put up an Instagram video, put it up on Snapchat, and just be like, keep it real. Just talk about like what they're truly going through, and that's like really authentic. So I think all those variables and the impact variable as well, I feel is like really strong. I think us millennials, like we care. I feel we really do want to make impact. Like, we really do want to see change. We're all in this room. I'm sure everybody here wants to really make an impact in what they're doing. So, you know, I think that plays a factor as well. Where brands are selling these big visions, they want to leverage us and our authentic content and our authentic audiences. So we do need to be careful. We do need to be particular, and we cannot allow money to, like, we need to make sure that those brands align with your audience for sure, because that can quickly, as huge as becoming an influencer yourself is, you know, in one instance you can mess it up if you rub them the wrong way by shoving ads down them, you know, showing that you're taking out too much sponsored content and stuff.
So piggyback on that, how would you differentiate, or the importance of targeting your vast experience with millennials versus like the influencer marketing, because brands are trying to reach Gen Z now. I know we're feeling old, but Gen Z came out of the womb being advertised to. So how would you differentiate like your different targets, and who's your target market?
I think it's still millennials, but I have like so many teenagers now that are coming into Founders, and you know, I believe Gen Z is the future, and it's really important to me. I've partnered up with a lot of the local schools in Newark, and I'm now offering like internship programs, and I think it's important that we're role models for them at the end of the day. You know, because I worry, like my niece and nephews are on their iPads all day, like they're sucked in, right? They're growing up in social media, like from out of the womb, like you said. So I just think it's really important that we educate them, and like they are still part of my demographic, but we just need to do a really good job in educating them to, you know, that like on how to leverage technology and how to leverage that and not get caught up in all the noise. There's so much noise out there. And I think that, and educating them on how they can be on the right side of the table, like teaching them code, teaching them design, teaching them how this can like allow them to be creative and build things that matter. So that's kind of like how I'm trying to attack it. But I think it's both. I think more Snapchat is Gen Z. I think more Instagram with the moves that they're making right now, I'm excited about, and I think it's definitely a little bit more of like millennials. But yeah, we're eventually gonna get old, huh?
Yeah.
We are getting old.
Where can we watch Leaders Create Leaders?
It's on YouTube under Gerard Adams TV, and like my whole first season is complete. It's there. It's underneath the channel under Leaders Create Leaders. I'm really excited about season 2. And I have another 30 under 30 on there, Kim Cup, who has a company called Zine Pack, and she's doing like a really, really great job. And like I said, I'm trying to also get more female entrepreneurs. And so afterwards, if anybody would like to share their story, I would really love that. And entrepreneur.com, I just did a deal with them, so they're going to be distributing it next year, so I'm excited about that. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. That, and also shout out to Jeff, Digital Jeff. He moved his whole family from Texas to Jersey City to be with me full time, and we traveled the whole freaking world, freaking doing all those episodes. So if it wasn't for him, it wouldn't have happened. So your team is everything.
Speaking of, in an instance, all of a sudden, things can kind of shift.
Yeah.
Mistakes. I'd love to learn from other people's mistakes. What would you say are mistakes that you could make when you're creating content or distributing content?
Distributing content. Great question.
And what not to do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, taking your time and editing and making sure that make sure you think through it. Obviously, that's really important. I'm anal with that. Like, I hate when I have like mistakes in it, and I definitely do. But definitely trying to take your time. I think one thing that I've learned from mistakes was having a content calendar is really important. One of the mistakes, I was like constantly chasing like kind of using rushing content like every week, like, oh snap, I gotta wait for Entrepreneur, and I have like a day or two because I've made it less of a priority for that. And I think prioritizing your content, where are you putting out content, how often are you putting out content, and then coming up with a content calendar. Like, take time for like a day to think through what are 25 different articles, and use your audience. Like, that's why engaging with them and saying, what do you want to learn? What do you want to hear? What is important to you? And then basing your content around that is and coming up with a content calendar. For a long time for me, I wasn't laying out like organized content calendar, and that hurt me. So I would say that's something. I think leveraging. I mean, I think one mistake I learned was like sometimes there's overload. There's just like so many platforms. You get caught up in being like, oh my God, no, now there's Snapchat, and now there's this new platform, and like where do you go? I think you need to be really careful with that, because people, if you're like just completely all over the place and everywhere, people will eventually just be like, okay, too many options, like not pay attention almost. And, you know what I mean? Give them too many options. So I would tell you to like focus on mastery, focus on like what platform works the best for you. Like what is you know what I mean? Like, and you're gonna probably blog, put up articles, become a contributor. You're gonna do some video and stuff, but like figure out like what is your number one platform and like double down on that and be great at that, rather than trying to spread yourself thin and keeping up with like every single platform. I think that's important.
I want to stick with this theme and the Q&A, but I think it's also important to mention that Gerard is a very experienced angel investor, and his portfolio is very diverse. You don't stick with one. So I want to open the floor, if that's okay with you, to those kind of questions as well as the brand leveraging, because we did not mention on that.
Sure. Yeah.
That's going to be my next question. So obviously the market is a little bit oversaturated with funding for social entrepreneur, where revenue is important, but social change is more important.
Yeah, don't do that right now.
What are the differentiators that someone needs to have in an early startup for you to potentially invest in, for somebody like yourself?
So, I mean, for me, I'm kind of going through that right now with founders, right? Like social impact is so important, and my model is that I don't charge the entrepreneurs like a desk fee, and whereas like a WeWork is like can generate revenue right away. I thought of a unique model where wherever I built the founders, I would build an apartment building and like try to generate income from the apartments above and give people a place to have like a we live situation. Revenue is important, but I think if you can show true traction and engagement, that there's a value in that. There's a real value in that. So I think what's your product?
So it's called Ally Earth. The co-founders right there actually. We're all about diversifying social groups and stimulating local economies. So it's all about diversity and inclusion, celebrating our differences, as opposed to what's happening, what we feel is happening now. It's a social change to make society what we want to be.
Yes.
So we're kind of in the early startup phase where we're trying to figure out what the next steps are and the best way to get followers and potential investors.
So how I would say like how are you going to get that? Like point? How are you going to make that change? Is it through content? Is it through a space? Is it
Yeah,
through,
so we were thinking content. You can feel free to add.
Sure, yeah, so the way that we're thinking about it is, how do we get people to care about inclusion and diversity, right? We have to change the way that people think about that.
Mhm.
So how do we do that? We have to create a social movement. So we were gonna start that social movement through content.
Yes, very important. Love it.
Because, I mean, content is king, and it has been for a while, but especially right now, thinking about our message and how we want to get that out there, that's how we're going to get people to care, and then that's how people are going to want to care enough and then buy into our product and like get into our brand, get involved, and really like it's really more so about our mission and our passion to create social change and create a movement.
Yes.
The product is great, and we know we're going to make money off the product, but really, it's the product is nothing if we don't have the movement.
Right. I think you're heading in the right direction. I mean, thinking about, right now you can create something like viral. I think one idea that I would have, I have just a couple ideas. Like one idea is that I saw a friend of mine doing. He has something called Kindness 365, and they decided to do a tour. And like through that tour, they go to different cities, and they created like content around like if you do something kind every single day. I think that they have a hashtag. They created awesome video content, and then they're actually showing people on a daily basis them going and doing an act of kindness every single day. So like thinking through what that movement would be through content is you're heading in the right direction. And then I would also tell you strategic partnerships. If you want to scale and you want to get traction fast, go with others. You know the saying, right? So like who cares about diversity? Like I care about diversity. I'm in North, but like who really cares? Who are the leaders right now that are the activists that are in diversity that care about that? And then you need to form relationships with them because they probably have fun.
Right.
And then you need to get them to bite into your purpose, into your vision, align with them. Think about how you can bring value to them as a strategic partner, and that's going to elevate you quickly to scale.
So we were thinking having like a SheWorx type environment as well, where we build a network and have people be members and be allies with everybody else, and kind of grow word of mouth and start the movement that way, and then actively work with our members to build the products, build what you guys want, like what would resonate. So it's continuous like fluidity of working with people that all allies. So.
Love it. Can't wait to see it come to fruition. That's definitely network.
Yeah.
What's so refreshing is seeing Gerard stay true to brand. He talked about differentiating his own brand about 2 years ago. We met through mutual friends, and our startup was an idea. We didn't even pitch it yet or launch it yet.
I talked to Logan before you even had the idea.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
think about
like
becoming an
nervous on
entrepreneur.
the phone. He was telling me that the deck consists of. I'm on the website, like, who's this guy? So it was really funny. But we wound up meeting, and I was getting my elevator pitch ready, and I think I had it on a note card. That's how early stage this was. And Gerard cuts me off in a nice way, not like mansplaining or anything, but he goes, "How are you gonna make money?" And it hit me back. And then that was one of the first times I thought on my feet, this isn't scripted. This is real entrepreneurship pitching. I answered, he goes, "As long as you have a monetization strategy, now I want to hear about your mission. Stay true to it. Build your user base because you will make money with this as long as you have that strategy." So that always stood out to me. Fast forward, Kids Who Now has 500,000 users. We're in all 50 states. Gerard joined the team as an investor, but that really was okay, when users were king about 2 years ago, but then it didn't convert to revenue. I'm so glad that we had to clarify that monetization strategy while outweighing with our mission and true to form. So the advice you just gave was not only consistent, but it was really valuable for us as well.
Yeah, one of my good friends, his name's Lewis Howes. I don't know if you know, it's a really good podcast, but he said something to me on Leadership Leaders. He said it has to be something called fit. It has to be fun, it has to have impact, and it has to have profit. If you don't, you have to have all three of those. If you're missing one of those, it'll hinder you. So you do need to think about what the business model is. I mean, the purpose and the mission and the impact is most important, but you need to be also thinking. A lot of people forget the business, and you need to think about what is the business model here as well. So that's all I would say. Whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit, it's still business.
For younger companies, when do you think is what are signs that it's the right time to seek investment, and is there a right time?
I think what's really exciting about right now, and I'm an angel investor, and this is what I created Founders also because I got into an argument with the venture capitalist because he was just like so much about the money like in the beginning. Yes. Yeah, but I really think if you can stay away from raising like venture capital, I would tell you that you don't need to do that at all. I think if you're going to raise capital, it should be growth capital. It should be you have traction, you have a core team, you've like proven it out, and you're just like, hey, you know what? This will just help me grow and scale, a lot more. I think like going to investors early on with an idea, even just like you're 6 months in, you're kind of getting going. I don't know. I feel like you should tough it out, get resourceful. Try to see if you can do like friends and family come together before you step up and go to an angel or a VC. I think that when you're going to really go and ask someone to write a check for you at that point in time, I think you want to make sure that you have it proven, and like, because you don't ever want to, you just don't want to. It sucks when failure is part of entrepreneurship, and you have to embrace it. And I've failed many times, and I've lost a lot of money on a lot of investments, and like, you want to hedge that. You don't want to be on that side where it's like you take money too early, and then all of a sudden your business doesn't really work out, and then you have somebody to answer to. It's a shitty situation. So you really want to just think that through and be like, hey, is this really the right time? Do I have enough traction? Do I really feel comfortable that this is going to be able to go to the right place? What is my use of proceeds, and it's going to help me really scale something that's profitable. So.
You want to have the leverage. I probably ate too much ramen than humans should, but we held out and still have that control of our baby, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you like I said, you don't even need to raise money too. You have a good business, good partner.
That's one of the things that we're thinking of right now. And like you said, you don't want to give up too much of your baby. So I'm talking to people like, how much is too much equity to go give away for XYZ amount of money? And then you have this would be interesting to get your perspective on it as well, the crowdfunding sites that are equity based now instead of a giveaway like a Kickstarter or something like that. What are your thoughts on those?
Ooh. I have a meeting right after this. My next meeting is about that. Looking to partner with another pre-accelerator, because I believe that law was passed for young entrepreneurs with new businesses. I love that route, to be honest. I think it also builds a little bit of a community. It proves out that if there's a market fit and there's a demand. I'm definitely interested, and part of our business plan for Founders is to create an equity crowdfunding play for our entrepreneurs. So before you go to a VC, you have the option to tell your story. And right now with content, we have the leverage. Like, you can create such a great story and through video and through content, like where people now can discover you and not only invest in you, but become like customers and part of your community. So I think that's a really viable option that you should consider.
Good question. If we can go back to Elite Daily time. So can you speak to, sort of, you talked about business model and the importance of business model, but you're building out a content publishing platform. So did you define your business model from day one with Elite Daily? And what was the tipping point where you could say, okay, now we can earn revenue, we have this much traffic, or whatever?
It was about like 6 months in. In the beginning, we didn't. We were just like, we want to create a product with content. We want to create a platform. We feel that this is something that we're looking for. We're opening up so many different tabs to get the news we want. So let's create that, and let's just get people that are like us that want to read it, and then we'll worry about the money later. And that's kind of what we did. And then reality struck about 6 months in. And then what we did was we ended up getting an advisor. I think your advisory team is so important. So like when it comes to monetization, like think about people that are in your industry that have the experience, that have gone through monetizing, because it is tough, and building a sales team is like so hard, because like most people, you have to give them like 6 months. They have to see if they're going to be, if they're going to fit into your company, they're going to do well. So I feel like getting a good advisor, at least one good advisor, which we did, that can that can help you learn that monetization strategy, that can give you some feedback. That was a big differentiator for us when we went into monetization. Then obviously we looked at just, advertising, advertorials, programmatic type advertising, banner ads and stuff. And I think we were like right at the tail end of that, even really like being now I think 70% of all millennials have ad blockers now. I think it may be a higher percentage, but we were able to catch that wave. And now I believe it's more native. Now, like that's working with the influencer marketing, doing unique original content, and then putting your product natively into it is the new form of monetizing. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
If you were to recreate Elite Daily today as the voice of Generation Z, but completely bootstrapping, where would you spend like your first $100,000 and on what?
With the sleeper right now.
Well, that's a really good question. I think that Gen Z is not going to consume content the same at all as Elite Daily. I do believe that Gen Z is obsessed with like YouTube. And I do believe that if I were to build an Elite Daily today, which we're thinking about doing something like that, we're testing it out, me and Digital Jeff, but I believe, I'll just tell you guys the idea, tell you guys about the idea, apologize. I think vertical video, Gen Z is so used to vertical video right now because of Snapchat, and then they love YouTube, and it's like this library. And I just think that if you can, I would recreate a platform that marries both the Snapchat feature vertical video in very short form, but quality video with specific verticals. And I want percentage if anyone tries to do this idea. And I would make it all video. And I would go out and I would recruit all the Gen Z rock stars out there that are starting to make content right now on their own, and memes and comedy and all the things that they love. I mean, there's like 14-year-olds, there's like young people that are like 14-year-olds. You see that guy, Caleb Maddox?
Yeah, no, he's killing it.
He's freaking all over the place, motivating everybody. I'm like, this kid's a rock star. But there's a lot of really cool Gen Z kids out there that get it so early on right now. I had these teenagers last night in Founders that pitched me, I should have the product in my jacket, but like, they use 3D printing to come out with like this fidget spinning 360 thing that you spin on your finger for like people with ADD. And like right in front of me, they're like, oh, see that, another sale. Oh, I just made $100. Oh, I'm like making money right in front of my eyes, like building this little project they did maybe with a 3D printer. It's like, they get it. So just like, I would go after the ones that get it, and I would recruit them to make content, with me, with the verticals on more of a video platform vertical, which is something that we are building, just to be fully transparent, me and Digital.
As he's emphasizing Gen Z, huge opportunity. By 2020, Gen Z is going to make up over 40% of consumers. So when they tell you that there's no buying power there, I mean, average allowance is $16. That's $44 billion a year that they have, not even counting the influence they have on their parents. So vertical videos, however you want to reach Gen Z, that's that wave to hit right now.
Nice. Kids who's hitting it.
You hear that?
So I have a question as a parent. I'm a parenting mentor, and a lot of the issues that I get from parents are the phone, my kids are on their phone all the time, I can't take it. So what, from your point of view, do I include in the way that I deal with them about this issue that turns this into a positive?
Wow, it's such a good question, and I cannot wait to one day be a parent. Like, I love kids, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I see it as a little bit of an issue with my sisters, my older sister. The kids, they're on it like so much, and I just think you need to spend. I would just, like, I'm mentoring anybody. I would really spend some time with them and like sitting with them and making them. First of all, I would make them watch things that are inspiring about certain people that are actually doing impactful things, and I would make them find more purpose. Like, what do you want to do? I would coach them. Like one of my business partners, with his son, he he asked him a question. He said, if it's your birthday, I'm going to give you money for your birthday, but you have 3 options to how you're going to use the money. You're either going to buy a toy with it, you're going to I think it was like save the money, go buy toys, or we can go and buy toys for kids that don't have money for toys and go to a hospital and give the toys to the kids. And I was like, wow, that's such a good question. Like, then to get to know a child. And his child actually thought about it. He needed like hours to like think about it. And then he came back and he was like, Dad, I want to go and buy toys for kids and need them. You know, and I think it's like teaching them how much that matters, like taking them and showing them kids that don't have technology, showing them kids that are less fortunate, bringing them to show like the kids that are just, you know what I mean, and getting them to realize like how fortunate they really are and how they should be leveraging that for a bigger purpose in life, and then and not so much just the memes and stuff, but that, you know, and educating them on that is I think the way to go about it.
You're gonna be such a good dad.
Changing the stigma from a distraction to a tool of opportunity. They can begin conversation on what they're interested in. Questions? Did you?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
did if we have time. I'm gonna go back to the earlier part of the conversation on how does one become an influencer? And just to give you a little bit of context, I run a startup that's very nascent. We connect consumers to immigration lawyers. So on the revenue side, we make our money through lawyers. I also launched an initiative called Immigrant Voices, which is very much like Humans of New York, where I interview people and share their stories anonymously, just like Humans of New York. I'm just not a photographer. I also have people submit their stories if they'd like to share them. I'm doing social media, Twitter, Facebook. How do you make it bigger? I think we can talk. And one of the things that you said earlier was, finding partners. And so I've identified some of those.
Okay.
I was waiting to reach out to some of them a little later when I'm relaunching the site, and there's more to share.
Right.
I just wanted your thoughts on what are the top 2 or 3 things that you should do when you're this early on, where you just have a few hundred followers, potential to be a really large idea. The timing is great, but there is, I'm not the only person out there who has some initiative around immigrants. And I have the business side of things, and then there's my desire for social change. And so that's kind of why I launched them under different names, Immigrant Voices, and then it's Word Advice, thoughts.
I would say, like, first and foremost, what are you doing to educate your marketplace? What do you, what are you doing to educate people on?
So on immigration, I have a lot of content that attorneys actually write. I create the topics, but I have the attorneys blog about it too. I have accurate information. There's a lot of misinformation. I was thinking of hosting some events in co-working spaces where immigration lawyers come and speak to startups that are looking to hire foreign nationals and things. So there's the B2B side. I retweet a lot of content that's already out there. There's a lot of, we're hearing about, but a lot of the buzz right now is around undocumented immigrants. There is a whole other world of immigration, the issues that legal immigrants face.
Yeah, I think you just said undocumented. I can like literally picture a series called Undocumented, and just create something that tells the stories like Humans of New York. Yeah. That's like more video based, because I think that can get like viral and leverage social media. And I would say consider doing something like that. DACA right now, is that something that would be like related to you? The timing of what you're doing is so huge, because DACA right now is facing a huge, they're trying to make a movement because so many immigrants right now are so scared because of Trump. And I happen to be part of a mastermind at Wilmer Valderona's house, and DACA was there, and Gen Z was there supporting it, speaking up about it. I mean, there were really young people speaking up about it. So I would say too, look into them and see how you could partner with them.
We were
Sorry.
Go ahead.
If I can jump in for 1 second. So I also work full time for a documentary video production company. I do a ton of television. So I heard about her story and what she was doing, and I said, yes, that's incredible, that's amazing. The only trouble that we have is finding a content platform. So do you know any people at this moment in time? I don't know if it's a subject matter that
I know
would even touch on.
that was it NBC that was there? who's there that was so interested in writing stories?
There's an email so you we're like a chat email so you could reach out to them and ask.
I believe because we were there and
There's so
I
many
think it
that
was
wanna-
NBC.
Yeah.
I think, which is obviously huge. But believe it or not, right now there's but the vice president that like makes the decisions of like what content goes on air said that he specifically has a budget to tell these type of stories. And he was like, send us. So I would tell you to write a treatment of what that looks like, and then I would just go and pitch it to like some of the big stations, to even get it picked up because I think it's a big story.
I spent so much time talking to
I want to take this conversation offline. Thank you all. Thank you, Gerard and Logan. Let's close quickly with a few asks that folks might have in the room so that when we break, we can support each other and connect, especially as we're moving into the new year. Gerard, you want to start with your asks for the group?
Wow. Well, I am launching my online community. I'm launching like my own community. I have founders, but I'm launching my own community. I've been shooting an like immense amount of video. I've been shooting everything that I did in Seed to Scale at Founders. I just created something called Social Currency, kind of showing like as I learned so much about how I doubled down on like my personal brand over the past 18 months. So I've been building all that to like launch my online community come in January. So if anyone's interested, anything you do to help spread the word when that's coming out. If anyone's interested in something like that and being a part of that, then let me know. That would really be it. And Founders, I'm throwing extra in, sorry. But if anybody would love to, we need mentors and people that want to come to Newark and be a part of the culture that we're building there, be a mentor. I would really love it if anybody would be willing to come and check out the space and be a part of helping mentor.
Great.
I have an ask. So I'm gonna be like you and I have like 2 minutes. One is, so if some of you I may have been or may not have, but She Knows Now is my passion project. And it's all about creating a platform of confidence affirming content for millennial women. So I believe that more confident women begets more confident women. So it's an opportunity for us to share stories and do more of that. We had our summit this past September. It was fabulous. Want to scale up in terms of the social following. So please follow us on Instagram and Twitter, at She Knows Now. And I'm going to do the second one, but my intention for the next year is to continue speaking in my speaking practice. So anything around influencer marketing, media, music, branding, entrepreneurship, etc. Please think of me. My name is Tiffany Harding. So if you guys are ever in a position where you need someone to speak or mentor, like you just mentioned, I'm happy to do this. And I'll take it up to Newark just for you.
Yeah.
Can I make a quick ask? So my company, Waddle, we create content based on personal stories about places. So we're looking for partners who we can create content for. So we partnered with Nikki last week at an event. We were bourbon, food. We got 20 writers in a room, and we created probably about 10 publishable pieces of content for her site. So we're at very, very early stages. Transparency, that was my first event with a company. So if anybody needs 10 to 15 pieces of content, writers are coming to me every day. If you can offer gift certificates, that's even better. Food, places, drink, bars, restaurants, and it's all really authentic personal content about why these places are.
I think Tiffany and I should connect after this, but I'm with the Stylish Sophisticate, and we are a women's workwear editorial site that also features career advice and interviews with successful women across all different fields, all different levels of their career. And so we're really looking to grow in our online community. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, that's our primary social platform, is at Stylish Sophisticate. And our website is stylishsophisticate.com. We just got Stylish Sophisticate, so we'd like to switch over. And we're always looking for strong, powerful women to feature. We do interviews. We do two different lengths of interviews. There's one that's a full feature where we do a whole 4 or 5 hour photo shoot, blend you up. It's great. Then we do an interview, and then there's a shorter one that will take 2 hours. So depending on your schedule, we work with you. Reach out to me. I have a bunch of comments if you want to chat afterwards.
Hi, my name is Tiffany Donaldson. I'm quite different from everybody else here. I'm a trademark attorney. I also do small business law. You know anybody